We're with Hughie Johnston here. He's a Gold Glove, a winning boxer. He just finished up the Legends of the Arena panel here at Turning Point USA's AmericaFest. So Hughie, you know, in the sports world, we see a lot of people coming out in support of Trump. We see the Trump dance everywhere at NFL games. We see it, John Bones Jones at UFC fights. And that's 4 years ago, you know, 6 years ago, we were seeing players kneeling in the NFL. What do you think of that contrast?
Nick, that is a great conversation. I'm so glad you started off with that, because we saw all these players getting down on one knee, and they were almost doing it in a sort of sheep-like mentality. It was almost as if they felt like, well, I mean, if everybody's doing it, I got to do it. But then you see a guy like Nick Bosa, and you see these guys at a time when they should be celebrating something, they should be happy. When you score a touchdown, you should be able to act out in any way you want, and yet these guys are choosing to emulate their hero, President Trump. And these guys, you know, they've got a lot of kids at home that's watching them, and they look up to them. They're their heroes. But these grown men on this field that play this game, they know their advantage to do this simply by living in this country. And so President Trump is their hero. And I think that that's great, man. The culture shift that we've seen in sports, Nick, it's been like a seismic reaction, hasn't it? But it just didn't happen overnight. 4 years ago, it was open season. I mean, if you wore a Trump hat out in public, it was almost like, it's a great way to get in a fight at a bar. If somebody wanted to wear a Trump hat, you just go there, just put your hat on, and just a fight will come near you. But now you got guys being more outspoken. You got athletes, like we just had Antonio Brown here, and he's a real outspoken Trump supporter. And yeah, man, it's just been electric. I've been so blessed. For
as many athletes and celebrities that have come out in support of Trump, how many want to but are just terrified of the repercussions?
If I told you the names, if I told the people at home the names of the people that I know that have platforms that you wouldn't believe would eclipse some of the mega artists, I'm talking Taylor Swift level people here, if I could tell you the conversations I've had behind closed doors with the artists that have looked at me and said, I totally agree with you. Nick, they've said, I want to meet that guy. I love that guy. But could you imagine what people might think if I come out as a Trump supporter? And I just sit there, and I'm always a little disappointed when I see these real big mainstream kind of entertainers like you're talking about, because the people at home, they deserve to know that it shouldn't be a sin to be a Trump fan. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, he won the popular vote, he won the general election, he swept, I mean, he swung every swing state. And I would credit a lot of the hard work of Turning Point for that, though, obviously, too. Going to the college campuses, talking to young people, and when they talked to those young people, there was just this heartbeat, and the heartbeat was so loud that all these kids, they had so much passion inside of them. They said, you know what, we're going to show up in record droves at the ballot box. We're going to sway this election in a way that they never would have thought. And I think it was somewhere, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, around 30% uptick conservative in youth votes. Around,
I believe it was something like that.
Yeah, and it may have even been more for all we know. It's just that I really credit the organizations like Turning Point for getting out there and talking to young people and having conversations like you and I are even having now.
And we've seen the left, especially through the educational system, really levy this assault on masculinity. And now, you know, in the lead up to the election, we see the frat houses doing the dance. Is Trump making masculinity great again?
That is a great question, man. I would say you're entirely right about that. I think Trump is making masculinity great again. And inadvertently, by making masculinity great again, it's also turning off that woke, you know, female athlete sports being totally encroached upon by men. Thank God, that's one thing that needed to happen for a long time. And I think that because more young men are being outspoken about their beliefs, naturally, people that was taking advantage of them not being outspoken about their beliefs are, you know, they're starting to shy away now, and they're starting to think, oh, wait a minute, there's a man around here. It used to mean something in this country when somebody would knock on somebody's door, a woman come to the door, a wife says, oh, I'm sorry, the gentleman would say, is there a man around? Is there a man around the house? You know, and there's way too lack of a real male presence. Thank God that this is the return of a great time in America, and it feels like male strength is coming back in a big way.
Absolutely. And Hughie, last one here for you. What is your overarching message here at AmericaFest?
My overarching message is this: you can go from being in the furthest back row of this auditorium, you know, scrambling around these booths, talking to people, and just wondering where you could fit into this whole thing. But you come out to AmericaFest, and you come out here in faith. You keep Christ first, you accept the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ into your heart like I did, and He'll take you from the furthest back row of that arena to right there, front stage center, and talking to the great Nick here at Breitbart News. And listen, folks, it all starts with a dream. You got to be willing to try, you got to be willing to dream. Dream bigger, anything's possible. At the end of the day, use Donald Trump as your inspiration. Look at what he was able to do, coming from a business world to being the greatest president in United States history.
Hughie, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.